Hello, dear friends. This is Kardec Radio at 11 p.m. with you, nourishing our souls together. It is a joy every time we meet to study for immortality. It is a true joy because it's luxury on earth. There are many people who at this moment are striving to survive, and we pray for them. And we are certain that if we do our best right now, we are helping the ones who cannot be here, the ones who are probably suffering very, very much and deeply, the ones who are trying to survive in their daily lives. And I say survive not only physically, but emotionally through the struggles of their daily lives. We know that our planet is still a planet of trials and expiations, marching towards a regenerative planet. You can read more about it in the Gospel According to Spiritism, chapter 3. It talks about it all, and it's vital for us to understand it, okay? Today, we're studying another chapter of the book Mediumship and Attunement by Emmanuel through Chico Xavier. This book comes to us since 1986 as an opportunity to understand more about mediumship. Mediumship is a mental force. It's a creative force of the soul, and it's a magnet. It's means for communication. What are we doing with it? Are we educating it? And we don't educate it only in the Spiritist Center. It's daily, in the inner discipline, in the daily choices of our actions, our words, our thoughts and feelings. And we're constantly shaping it up, you know? At Jesus' time, there was no Spiritist Center. He didn't go into a Spiritist Center. And why am I saying this? To discourage you from actually being a Spiritist Center? No. But saying that the real mediumistic education happens in a daily basis, on a daily basis, in our minutes, our choices at home, at work, when we shop, when we're driving, when we're eating. What kinds of thoughts and feelings are we having? Those are choices that will affect our mediumship. And at the end of the day, we're all mediums. We all perceive at some level this influence of the spirits, this interaction, and thus we are mediums. So today it's another chapter. Emmanuel titles chapter 17, Let Us Stay Awake. Well, apparently he knew we were going to do it at 11 p.m. I'm just kidding. But he knows there is a reason why he's saying that. But before we read it, gonna say hi to the friends that I can see already here. If you keep entering, we're gonna say hi to you. If you're listening to this on demand, if you're listening or watching, big hug to you. Feel the blessing of our togetherness, okay? All right, friends. Jailton, welcome, Jailton. Raquel Bakesh, big hug to you. Carol Correia, big hug, my friend. Dulce Story, how are you, Dulce? We need to talk, right, Dulce? Nora Brazil, how are you? Teresa Castro, big hug to you. And Daisy, beautiful Daisy, how are you, my friend? Karina Alice, thank you, Karina, for your super duper teamwork effort here at Cardiac Radio, huh? Thank you. Sol Souza, how are you? Alicia Ramos, how are you, Alicia? Adilson, Fernando Oliveira, welcome, welcome, welcome. You know, it's interesting. We welcoming one another. We are learning to be kinder on earth. It's so important. Sometimes life is so rough, right? But kindness saves lives. let us be kind. Not that I am the example role model, no, but we feel that kindness is essential. It's in the Christ consciousness, that gentleness, that kindness mixed with firmness, determination, and courage, really supporting people's progress. Right? Okay. Ready now? Okay. 17 is our chapter. Book, Mediumship and Attunement. Emmanuel writes, let us stay awake. He begins by saying, do not allow the minor displeasure to lead you to failure, so that failure will not lead you to greater regrets. Remember that the earth is our old school of spiritual betterment, and it does not underestimate the lessons. Remember the paralytic handcuffed to the bed of pain, and thank heaven for the agile and firm legs that guarantee the verticality of the body. Consider the mutilated who lacks the blessing of the hands, and appreciate the resources that make you find a source of joy in the workplace. Do not forget the blind. Sometimes in the midst of tears, and use your eyes to seek the good. Do not forget the mute that crosses the earthly path, almost always solitary and misunderstood, and keep clean the word that you use to attain the greatest progress. Reflect on the mentally ill who lives amongst humanity with the difficulties of malfunctioning brain, and mobilize your own reasoning, appreciating what is useful to you. Meditate on those who roam without a home, and honor your domestic stronghold, cultivating within it kindness and tolerance, understanding and gentleness by daily guidelines. Think of the hearts crystallized in indifference that travel in the world as voluntary orphans, and exalt your own faith, translating it into works of humility and love, generosity and forgiveness, so that the divine light may be raised by compass on the way. Value the work you develop, value your friends, value your family, value your resources and the moments you have, and you will now feel rich with possibilities to expand the treasure of blessings with which will be part yours now, today, and thereafter. Let us remember that the earth is simply a step in our escalation to the shining summits of life. Awakened to the opportunities of service, let us advance forward, learning and loving, assisting others, and renouncing ourselves, in the certainty that in this way we will walk from yesterday's misfortune to tomorrow's happiness. Stay awake, he's saying. Let us stay awake. Before we go back to the message, let us recall that passage in the book Good News by Humberto de Campos through Chico Xavier. It's the garden prayer. You remember when Jesus prayed in the garden before the Gethsemane, before being imprisoned. He had 3 of his disciples with him, and he asked them, stay awake and pray with me. They couldn't. He stayed praying, and when he turned, they were sleeping. He woke them up, saying, please stay awake and help me out and pray. And he turned again and kept on his conversations with the higher, the higher spheres, and praying. And when he turned, he again said, guys, come on. But then they didn't have time any longer to stay awake and help. John was one of the disciples. Who was John the Evangelist? Who was precisely there, invited to that important moment to be the core group, the supporting group. He couldn't do it. After Jesus' martyrdom in his discarnation, John spent days thinking about, why didn't I stay awake? And one day Jesus comes to him and says, vigilance. We need to be vigilant, John. In this world, we need to be vigilant. So, if John, who loved Jesus and was his disciple right there, firsthand in the works, slept, imagine us. Does that discourage us? No. But it tells us that we need to pay attention and tell ourselves, I'm not going to sleep. Which kind of sleep? The sleep of illusion. Sleep of illusion. Hello, Angelita. Hello, Sunshine. Melissa Weber Costa. Thank you, friends. So that's why Emmanuel is also writing to us. To be mediums and to stay attuned with the higher spheres, we need to stay awake. But it's hard, you know why? Because our child within ourselves still needs a lot of fantasy. Majority of people on earth are like this. That's why it's hard for people to have more complex conversations. They like to talk about the passing things because it's light. When we talk about life as is, etc., they're like, oh, please don't tell those stuff. I don't want to know. I don't want to know. They turn their back and leave. But we can't. We need to mature and stay awake and no longer sleep the sleep of illusions, fantasies. Oh, the prince, the princess, the enchanted prince and princess in our lives. And I'm saying this with kindness because we need to understand that we don't get married on earth for a beautiful honeymoon for the rest of our lives. That's not why we get married. We don't have children to show them to other people and say, look how beautiful they are, they're so perfect. No. Being a parent is a mission. We're tutors of those lives. We need to improve ourselves to help them out. It's not simple. We need to be mature to see their shortcomings, to see what they need to adjust, and have courage and love in the heart to help them out. Instead of pretending, sugarcoating it, and then when they become teens, we start seeing the demons we didn't see. And I say demons, quote unquote. When we go to work, we don't expect our colleagues are going to understand us, that our boss is going to understand us and treat us kindly. No, not on earth. Does that mean we're going to allow abuse? No. But it means we're going to be more tolerant, understanding than the majority of people. And it takes maturity to be tolerant because it's a decision of our prefrontal cortex. Right? It's a decision that humans can do. Animals are not capable to it, not at the level that we're talking about. So for all of us, it takes maturity and the adult inside of us to be stronger so we can march in this life awake as possible, so we fulfill God's will on earth. That's why he begins with a positive statement, a commandment. He says, let us stay awake. And at the same time, he says, do not allow a minor displeasure lead you to failure. How many people, they participate in spiritist groups and they are frustrated because that person didn't say hi. They said no to me and they are too sensitive. It's what we call in Portuguese, milindres. That's what he's talking about here. Minor displeasures. And then we fail. We say, I'm no longer going to participate in this group. And you think the group is going to miss something. We're the ones who will miss the most. We will. And there are people who blame on others. I'll tell you a true account. Somebody in another country, nobody knows of, no names, confidential, but I know of a couple who needed help in a spiritist center. The family said, go to that center. That day, they entered the center, and the president of that center had to clarify things with the public for whatever reason, and keeping discipline and order, many people coming to the center, hundreds of people. They came back home, the couple came back home saying, oh, the president of that center was too rude, too rough. We're never going to go back again. Okay. So you expect that people are going to treat you VIP and always smile. Okay, put yourself in the shoes of that director for a day, and then you may understand why sometimes it gets on people's nerves, the lack of discipline of people. We have to be patient, but come on. It's like a doctor, physician. How often you enter the doctor's office, they are humans too, right? They are human, they are just so human. And you expect that they are going to rock you as a baby, and sing lullabies? No. They're gonna say, you need to stop drinking, you need to stop smoking, or else. Oh my gosh, do you mean I'm going to die? Well, who won't die? Everybody will, but you'll die sooner. Oh my gosh. No, my gosh. You need to comply to live a better life. You don't go to a doctor expecting the doctor to tell you that you're doing all right. The doctor is going to help you fix something up. I agree. We need kindness, we need gentleness. But on our side, we need to be less sensitive. And we need to be less childish. And that's what Emmanuel is saying. Do not allow the minor displeasure to lead you to failure. Humberto de Campos has a beautiful chapter that talks about oversensitivity, milindres, saying that oversensitivity is like a mite, like a type of a bug that eats little by little a beautiful tree, and then it's spoiled. So don't let yourself get spoiled and be useless because of oversensitivity. Be the one who understands. St. Francis prayer. I tell you, in all my life, and it's not a long life in this, I'm younger than many people in the Spiritist movement that are leading the Spiritist movement nowadays. But I've lived enough to see that people don't understand us. But it's up to us to be understanding. St. Francis says, it is in understanding that we're understood. And if you tire yourself up of being understanding, bad for you. Because there is no competition. We need always to push ourselves higher. That's the Christ consciousness, for our own good. The more understanding we are, good for us. We vibrate higher. We connect with higher spirits. You know? So he says, don't let a minor displeasure lead you to failure, because that failure will lead you to greater regrets. Right, Fernando Oliveira, I agree with you. Emmanuel is good. He was wonderful. Pedro, how are you? Renata, how are you? And Maxi. So he says, remember that the earth is an old school for spiritual betterment. Thus, do not underestimate the lessons. So we're in a school. If life is presenting to us situations to learn, if I am constantly open to learn, I'll be less frustrated and I will renew myself faster. In the Spiritist movement alone, if I were to stop because of misunderstandings, because of miscomprehensions, like lack of, I wouldn't be here today. Because it happens. Not everybody understands you or accepts you. But the question is, do you accept everybody? How can we dare to demand acceptance of ourselves if we barely accept people for who they are? So it's natural. They look at us and we're strangers. They don't get us. It's okay. We keep emanating good thoughts and feelings. We keep on working and never taking anything personally. And that's why Jesus taught us the lesson of the cross. When people were beating him up, he said, Father, forgive them, for they don't know what they're doing. Majority of times we don't know what we're doing, and people do the same. People neither. They don't. Big deal. There is no race to perfection. There is an invitation, a training. You and I are in the school of life, being trained. That's what he's saying here. And he says, if it's hard for you, look at people who are in harsher conditions, the mute, the deaf, the paralytic, the mentally ill, and value your work, your friends, your family, the moments you have, and feel the possibilities that are true treasures of blessings in your hand, and awaken to the opportunities of service. Let us advance forward. Friends, we can only advance if we cherish the moment. So today we're invited to do a homework. Our homework is, in the next 24 hours, see what else we can do, the opportunities. Evaluate the beautiful opportunities that you have at hand in the next 24 hours. Opportunities to grow in your virtues, in your inner richness, and think about immortality. Right, Raquel? Raquel Villiers, big hug to you. So, as he says, let us remember that the earth is simply a step in our escalation to shining summits of life. Awakened to the opportunities of service, let us advance forward, learning and loving, assisting others, and renouncing ourselves. One day we won't be here. Who cares? The little choices we make, the big choices of love and service, is what's going to be defining for us. Let's not allow the little things to eat us up. Breathe in and out and say, I'm strong. I can do it. God, let us pray together, huh? Dear God, please help us renew ourselves and visualize better days, softer, kinder, more gentle, loving. We pray that our relationships become sweeter in kindness, in opportunities for mutual growth. May we never give up on doing the good in spite of the obstacles. May we never quit our commitment with you because of the minor displeasures of daily life. And in the pleasure of serving you, may we stay strong and faithful, rejoicing because life is so good now that we know and feel you better than we did yesterday. And so be it. Feel the present, Carol Correia. Feel the present because it's a present, exactly. In Portuguese we say, sente o presente é um presente. Exactly, feel the present because the present is a present. Thank you for the reminder, Carol. Big hug to you, friend. And until tomorrow. Tomorrow we're going to talk about healing, mediumship of healing. Come back because we're just a few days away from completing the study of this phenomenal book. Thank you, friends. Big hug. Until tomorrow.